Hi, thank you for being here today. This video is going to cover sanitation and cleaning procedures at Cavalier Produce. As many of you already know, we have certain tasks that need to be completed here at Cavalier Produce every single day in regards to cleaning and sanitation. In order to keep track of these tasks, we have our daily operations sanitation monitoring form. This form is to be completed by a manager or shift leader throughout the day, but all team members play a role in completing the tasks on this list. When is the checklist completed? At the beginning and ending of the morning shift, beginning and ending of the evening shift, as well as the beginning of the evening's parts room shift. Why do we need to complete this checklist every day? It's part of our annual third-party audit. Our third-party audit is a requirement to service many businesses. Many buying groups require it, such as Airmark, Chick-fil-A, Eat and Park, as well as Sodexo, just to name a few. It also keeps our warehouse clean. The clean warehouse is going to give us clean product to sell, provides a safe working environment for our employees, and also protects our customers from foodborne illnesses. Where do I fill out the form? As you can see, there's 5 columns listed on this form. There's an AM pre-op checklist, AM post-op, PM pre-op, PM post-op, as well as a PM repack checklist for the parts room. What is filled out in the checklist? Let's start at the beginning and look towards the top of the list. We have the time the tasks are completed, should be listed, as well as the initials of the person verifying the completion of the tasks. The checklist is broken down into a few different sections. We're going to take a look at the top section, safety of water. Water should be running clear, no issues, there's no leaks, and it also has good pressure. The water pressure needs to be recorded onto the checklist. The gauge is located inside the chemical closet. The water pressure should be over 35 psi at all times. If it is below 35 psi, please notify a manager immediately. Although we do not use a lot of ice here at Cavalier Produce, we do need to have ice on hand for items such as seafood and other things that need to be iced down periodically. Ice should come from the approved source. It should be stored in the warehouse freezer, and once you're done using it, it should be returned to the warehouse freezer. Ice should not be stored in the break room freezer. Ice that's stored in the break room freezer can be a cause of cross-contamination, which we always want to avoid here at Cavalier. So make sure you're getting the ice from the actual freezer in the warehouse and not using any ice on any product that comes from the break room freezer. Next we have our condition and cleanliness of food contact surfaces. Any equipment that comes into direct contact with any of the product needs to be cleaned with soap and water and sanitized after 4 hours of continual use and also at the end of each shift. Our 2 biggest areas of concern for this task are the parts room as well as the dairy room, because they both contain tables that come into direct contact with the products that we sell. The 3-compartment sink located inside the dairy room should be kept clean at all times. If it is dirty, please clean it. Next, we have our sanitizer concentration, and this needs to be recorded onto the form as well. Sanitizer buckets should be filled at the beginning of each shift. The sanitizer concentration should be 200 parts per million and should be checked at the beginning of each shift. Sanitizer strips are located inside the dairy room. They're on the shelf behind the 3-compartment sink. If for some reason there are none there, please let the manager know and we can provide them to you. Once again, our sanitizer concentration should be 200 parts per million. This can be verified by matching the test strip after it's dipped into the sanitizer with the correct color located on the side of the test strip bottle. There should be no stickers on any of the tables or scales. All work surfaces should be free from cracks, tape, string, or anything else that could harbor bacteria. So we've talked about the cleanliness and condition of the food contact surfaces. The next section is the condition and cleanliness of the non-food contact surfaces and equipment. All warehouse equipment should be in good working condition. Everything should be present, accounted for. If anything is missing, please let your manager know immediately. And if there are any issues with any of the equipment, please report it to the food safety manager, to your manager on duty, or you can also scan the QR code that's located on the break room TV screen and submit the work order yourself. Shelves and racking are free from dust and debris. All floors should be swept in clean condition and scrubbed if necessary. Floor drains are located in area 4, which is the wet box where we keep all the lettuce. Those floor drains need to be cleaned as well as you're able to. I know sometimes they're difficult to get to those, but they do need to be kept clean. Also, there's a floor drain located in the dairy room as well as the parts room. Those also need to be kept clean. If for some reason they're not working and they're clogged, please flush them out. There's a hose located out back by the dumpster to do that. The water collection bins in the parts room need to be emptied at the beginning and ending of each shift to make sure they are not overflowing. On this particular example, the water collection bins have not been emptied at the beginning of the shift, so they're marked as a U for unsatisfactory on the sheet. On the right hand side is notated what the issue is. That way we can address that issue to make sure that that problem does not persist and does not continue. All the blue zip doors should be left closed and not left in an open position. This maintains the correct temperatures in the correct zones. The next section we're going to be taking a look at is the prevention of cross-contamination. Hands should be washed at the beginning of each shift and also returning from any breaks. This includes smoking and eating. Disposable gloves should be used inside the parts room at all time or whenever you're directly contacting the produce or touching the produce. Hair nets and beard nets need to be used at all times when you're inside the warehouse or any of the other production areas, which should also be the back of the truck. You can wear a tight-fitting baseball cap if you like, or a skull cap. As long as your hair is restrained, those are acceptable. And of course, you do need to have a beard net on if you have any facial hair. Also, I'm sure everybody already knows this, but there's no smoking, eating, or drinking inside the warehouse or any of the other production areas. That would include the back of the trucks. There should be no products left on the floor. All items should be left on pallets. And there should be no standing water anywhere in the warehouse. If there is standing water, please use a squeegee to clean it up. All allergens should be separated from all the other produce to prevent cross-contamination. There are two areas where we keep our dairy products. That's in the dairy room, of course, as well as the egg area that's located in Zone 5 and cold storage as soon as you walk in on the right-hand side. And also any seafood products or anything that contains nuts or any other allergen should be separated from produce at all times. Once again, finished goods and raw goods need to be separated. Anytime there's meat, seafood, or any other allergen, it needs to be separated from any of the other produce. All items from the parts room need to be put into single-use bags. These bags should be tied with a knot on the top of the bag to prevent anything from spilling out into the box. Wet and ice products need to be stacked together. As you can see in this example here, the Brussels sprouts are located right on top of one another. That way, if anything drips down, it doesn't contaminate any of the other produce that's located beneath it. In this example, we're going to pretend that the broccoli was not in the correct slot and we had to move it. So we're going to go ahead and mark that as a U on the sheet for unsatisfactory under that section. And we're going to notate that the broccoli was in the wrong slot and that we moved it to the correct location. That way we could retrain the people that put the items away about the correct procedures and way of doing things. The next section we have is the maintenance of hand washing, hand sanitizing, and toilet facilities. Sinks should be kept stocked with paper towels and soap, and should also be kept clean. In the bathrooms, the toilet should be clean and working. The sinks in the bathroom should be stocked with soap and paper towels if necessary. The trash should be kept emptied, should not be overflowing. And hand sanitizer should also be stocked throughout the warehouse. The next section we're going to be taking a look at is protection from adulterants. That's any kind of contamination that we can prevent. Protection from adulterants. All lights should be shielded. They'll have plastic coverings on them, and they're also pretty high up, but if you ever see any issues with that, please let a manager know. There should be no visible dripping from any ceiling units, any dripping water from any of the cooling units. And you shouldn't see any other contaminants, rust, glass, dirt, anything like that. Please let a supervisor know. Next, we have proper labeling, storage, and use of toxic compounds. We don't have too many toxic items here at Cavalier Produce because we're a produce distribution center, but it is something that we need to be aware of, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. All bottles need to be labeled with what is inside of them. Please make sure that the correct items are being put into the correct bottles. And also the bottles are stored in the chemical closet inside the warehouse, or also the chemical closet that's in the hallway next to the conference room. They should not be kept anywhere else. If a bottle is missing a label, please let somebody know so we can get that fixed ASAP. All sanitizer should be stored away from any of the food contact surfaces. So we use it to clean the food contact surfaces, but the bucket should be kept underneath the tables, just in case there's any spillage or anything like that, it doesn't contaminate the produce. Next, we have employee health. Let's go ahead and we'll take a look at that. If you are sick, please do not come to work. Please let a supervisor know. Any open wound should be covered at all times. And if you need a Band-Aid, we have blue Band-Aids located inside the dock office, inside the first aid kit. We use blue Band-Aids in the warehouse because they're easier to find in case they fall off. The last section of the cleaning checklist is the exclusion of pests. Check for pests both inside and outside of the warehouse. Pests are always trying to get in due to us having food here, so please keep an eye out for them. And if you do see any evidence of any rodents or anything like that, please let a manager know. Pest control traps. They're located both inside and outside of the building. On the inside of the building, they're white boxes. They're located on either side of every exit and entranceway. They're used in both the warehouse as well as the office. The inside traps do not contain poison. They have sticky strips inside of them. So please let a manager know or let somebody know if you see any rodents stuck in them or near them. And please make sure they're also left in the correct places too. Sometimes they get kicked around and stuff, so you need to make sure those are on either side of every doorway. The outside traps are located throughout the perimeter of the building. They're labeled with signs up above them with the number of which trap they are so you can keep track of them. They must be secured at all times. And these traps do contain poison, so just please be mindful of that. Doors should not be left propped open. This can allow pests to come inside. It's also a security risk as well. All pallets should be stored at least 18 inches away from any of the walls inside of the warehouse. All trash cans located inside the warehouse as well as the break room need to be emptied in a timely manner to make sure they're not overflowing, to make sure everything stays clean. The ramp next to the dumpster as well as the rear loading docks need to be kept clean at all times and free of all debris, waste, or any other garbage. Debris, waste, and garbage out back can attract pests, and that's something that we definitely want to avoid. If it does need to be swept, there is a dedicated push broom that we keep out back. There's also a dedicated dustpan as well as a smaller broom that we keep inside of the dock office. The compactor should be in good working condition. If for some reason it is not, please let a supervisor know or complete a work order, which you can do by scanning the QR code located on the break room screen, television screen. And the doors should be kept closed at all times. If the doors are left open, that can attract pests. There should be no trash or debris outside. If you do see any large pieces of trash, please pick it up. Trash cans should be kept covered at all times. Sometimes out back, I've noticed that they are left open, uncovered. This can attract birds and other rodents and pests. So you want to keep those trash cans closed at all times, especially outdoors. And the grass should also be cut regularly. Now, of course, that's something that is done by our landscaping company. But if we see any areas or any areas of concern, anything like that, please let somebody know. Once again, the checklist itself is stored inside of a white binder inside of the dock office. And every week, no longer than 7 days out from when it was completed, it needs to be verified by the food safety manager to make sure all the tasks are being completed, and they'll also address any areas of concern. Let's take a look at what we've covered today. The daily operation monitoring form needs to be completed at both the beginning and ending of the morning shift as well as the evening shift, and also the beginning of the evening parks room shift. It's part of our third-party audit, which is a requirement for many of the businesses that we service. The completion of the task should be verified by a manager or shift leader. Everyone plays a part in completing these tasks. We should all be working together to make sure this is getting done on a daily basis. It keeps us safe and also our customers safe. If you have any questions at all about this video or the operation monitoring form itself, please ask me, Brian, the food safety manager, or you could ask your manager on duty. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video today. Please do not forget to complete the questions below and make sure to enter your name below the video as well to receive credit. Thank you so much. Be safe.